I'm going to invite us all to go through a little exercise here. And I'm going to also invite you, if you are, please do not do this. If you are driving a vehicle or operating any heavy machinery, put it on hold and do this later. But what I'm going to invite you to do, I've just stated the world of the past no longer exists. And though people say, yeah, you know, and that there are things that we miss. This is an opportunity for us to set just a few moments aside and do for ourselves what is yet to be done in a mainstream, large-scale public way, and that is mourn that passing. So I'm going to invite you first, just take a pencil and paper, something to write on, or if you want to do this in your mind, you can. Give yourself a moment just take a deep breath, first of all. Just anchor yourself in this moment and acknowledge that your world has changed and that the things that once played a role, some of them were a big role, some were a small role in your lives, they're gone and that you miss them. This is the key, and it's okay to miss those things. All we're doing is acknowledging it. I'm going to invite you to make a list. Just write down, maybe if you can write down 2 or 3 things that are no longer in your world today that were with you 5 years ago. I don't want to influence your ideas, but what I'm looking for are things like, I'll just use myself. In northern New Mexico, there was a Borders bookstore. It was a landmark on a corner that I used to see every time I go to the airport. Borders is gone, and I miss seeing that there. The mom and pop shops. They used to fix everything from the holes in my boots that I've had for 20 years to my eyeglasses, holes in the tires. The neighborhoods have changed, and I miss that. I was thinking about this the other night and talking to my wife. We both miss the feeling that we've had enough time for all the things we want to do. We feel that the world is moving so fast in our world, and we miss the sense that we have the time to do everything and not feeling that pressure. So these are some ideas. So I'm going to give you just a minute or so here to write down the things that you miss. Okay, so you've probably had an opportunity. I'm sure you have at least a couple of these that are written down. And what I'd like to do now to continue this, and whether you're doing this in your mind or on a piece of paper, when you acknowledge those things are gone and that you miss them, and another column, what I'm going to invite you to do is to identify the feeling that you have about not having them there. What kinds of feelings? Is it a sadness? Is it overwhelm, anxiety, stress? Again, I don't want to influence, but these are the ideas. In a single word or maybe a brief phrase, how do you feel now that these things are no longer in your world and that we're going to do something with this? Okay, maybe take one more deep breath. To anchor that we've completed this. This is interesting for me because I do this with live groups all the time, and it's not an event that you do once and replicate time and time again. It's a process for me, and I'm always finding new things that I miss, and I think I'm not surprised because mourning is not an event. It is a process. We're constantly mourning and adjusting to the new things in life and the things that disappear to make room for those new things. This is a very healthy thing to do because what it does is emotionally, psychologically, it frees up the space so that we can embrace all of these really beautiful things. And then we're going to get into some of those here in just a moment. All right, so now you've got a list of the things you miss. You've got a list of the feelings that you've had. Now I'd like to go through a little exercise. The best science of our time has shown us that our hearts have their own neural network, their own neural pathway, brain-like cells embedded into the heart tissue. They carry their own memories. And this is why in a heart transplant, the memories of the person who donates the heart often become activated in the person that receives the heart, even though it wasn't their experience. That's how real this neural network is that I'm talking about. So our ancestors for 5,000 years, they have always said to us that change, our ability to adapt to change in life, begins with the change in our hearts. And that's why so many of their traditions that I've studied are focused in the heart. And one of the first things that our ancestors invite us to do, and that the best science of our time is showing us, is that if we can focus our attention in our heart center, move our awareness from our mind into our heart. And one of the ways to do that is to simply, gently touch your heart center in a way that's comfortable for you. Just touch in the center of your chest, lightly with your fingertip, or maybe two fingertips, or an open palm. Some people use a prayer mudra, and they nestle their prayer mudra into the sternum in their chest, gently. The key here is that our awareness will always follow the place in our body where we feel a sensation. So when we feel that sensation over our heart center, our awareness will automatically go to that place, and in that way, we now have shifted our awareness into our heart, where the heart intelligence can bypass our fear and bypass our logic and go to what is called heart intelligence, the wisdom of our hearts. So I'm going to invite everyone to do this. Gently touch your heart center in a way that's comfortable for you. Remember to breathe and allow your awareness to move to that place. Now, it's from this place we're going to make use of the list that we've just created. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to replace the unwanted feelings or the negative feelings with the loss. Replace those with feelings and attitudes that you would consider more positive. And I realize there's a judgment that's implied here, and it's the best way we know how to do this right now. So for example, if you are feeling stress around the things that are gone in your life, you can breathe and replace that stress with a sense of neutrality, where you take the significance out of that loss. If you're feeling sadness or depression, you can breathe in compassion and non-judgment around that idea, around that feeling. So replacing the unwanted experiences with new positive experiences, but you're not doing it with your mind through logic. You're actually doing it through your heart and the wisdom of your heart and your heart intelligence. If you're feeling anxiety, you can replace that with calm and peace. Breathe in calm and peace to replace the anxiety. If you're feeling overwhelmed, breathe in ease and peace to replace that sense of overwhelm. If you're feeling guilt over something in the past, breathe in compassion and non-judgment for yourself when it comes to that guilt. And these are all facets of mourning a world that no longer exists. And the thing to do here is to continue to do this after our program today. Do it before you go to bed tonight. Do it when you wake up in the morning. You continue this. You breathe until you feel a shift or a change in your body. And even when a negative attitude feels justified, what happens is the emotional energy, the charge in your system that builds up around that charge, it inhibits all of the good things that can come into your life and into your body, because that space is occupied by the old feelings based upon the old world and the old ideas. So continue this until you feel a shift.